Hello, bikers. It's Catherine from We Are Bikers, Your Bikers Unite. Happy day. Hopefully we're doing okay. So I'm really excited to be here tonight. Today, it's the first Saturday off in like months, you guys. And I wanted to go up to Hampton Roads. There was so much going on. I had a club that was doing a cookout to raise funds, which I sent him his funds because I was far away. And then we also had Hampton Roads Harley Davidson, had their bike show today. We had Southside Harley Davidson today as well, had their cookout and open meet and greet and stuff. It was pretty awesome. I wish I could have gone, but I've heard good things about all the events. And I heard there's still stuff going on Sunday as well, which is exciting. So I wanted to reach out and let you guys today and talk about, first of all, photography and bikers. I think it's a really important topic to talk about. The good, the bad, and something that maybe you guys have not learned yet. So, as a photographer, I'm a very humbled individual. Let me explain to you how I started. As a musician, we get picked apart. As a classical artist, nothing's ever good enough. It's called constructive criticism. And I dealt with it for over, almost 13, 15 years. And I would just cry in the practice room, the vibrations, the intonation, being in tune, getting the slur correctly, and having the interpretation of what Mozart wanted was extremely important when it comes to being a musician. So photography was my outlet. I literally had this small Fujifilm camera, and I would photograph instruments. It would piece my mind, literally I would not think of anything. But I wouldn't just photograph an instrument. I would have it in a certain angle and a certain aspect of it, and I'd create greeting cards. And my horn teacher was like, "You need to do this you have to do this full time." And I was like, "I would love that, but it's my getaway thing." So I ended up getting a different type of camera, and I started photographing moments through our university, and also with my internship, and all as well with other symphonies. And then I started blossoming with the Virginia Arts Festival. But I did things that normal photographers, most photographers wanted to be up front. They wanted to have close-ups. They wanted that shot. I wanted that shot up high. I wanted to have the whole moment captured, like the audience, the lighting, the colors of the lighting. There was a whole lot more than just getting up close and personal. And I did meet some of the artists I work with. A lot of times I was too intimidated, but you realize they're human as well. They're so much human. I've driven around Dennis DeYoung before. They're just human beings. But I liked being up high. I would get to know them, and then I'd be like, "Okay, see you later," and I would go up to the third balcony. And so, I think it's so important also to see different aspects of photography. I've ran across big egos where people are like, "Well, I photographed Dave Matthews Band." Well, good for you. That's awesome. So at that point, and I just gave you guys a shrug. So because it is important, you deserve respect, photographers. You do. You should be proud of your resume. But we also have to humble ourselves and know that we're all going 6 feet under, and that some other guy or woman can photograph maybe a different angle just as beautiful, and may not have the right tools that you have or you feel like are the right tools. Allow them to photograph. Allow them to create art. There are so many different types of artists out there, and we tend to crush ourselves by trying to one-up each other, thinking we have better equipment and we have better this, when really maybe the equipment you have is just as good because of who you are and how you do it. So I just want to put that out there. That's not what this podcast is for, but I think it's important to state. We have to look at ourselves and sit there and humble ourselves. I have photographed with some big photographers that are well known, and I'm very blessed to have them and talk to them. But we also have to understand that there's also you're a little guy too, and you started out little also, and we should respect that. But on top of that, they also may photograph differently. You may meet a photographer that has a different angle where you cannot be, or they may see a different lighting or a different way of photographing, and that deserves just as much respect. Now, when it comes to the community, a lot of times people do respect you. They probably know who you are. You hold your own as you carry that camera, just like with a major classical musician. This can apply to everybody, actually. But you have to be respectful when it comes to the biker community. It's not like a huge event. Like, I photographed major events. I've photographed Harbor Fest, which was many different areas around Norfolk. Big, huge. Like, they brought in crowds. I did it for all the days. I think it was like the 400th anniversary. It was a large anniversary. It wasn't 400 years, you guys. That was Jamestown. I have photographed Susie D. Komen's big event in October. I mean, I've done symphonies, I've done concerts, I've done, societies and stuff like that. So, like, I photograph. I also used to own my own business. I photograph big weddings. It's so important to understand the different types of photography that you go into. With that being stated, when I photographed my first biker event, I didn't realize how much respect, especially a smaller event with like 300, 400 bikers, you need to introduce yourself to every single one of them. And you also have to understand who you're photographing. You can't just photograph anybody. That was the first advice that I got from the individual that's helping me, that's literally mentoring me. He's a 1%er, and I'm blessed that he's there. And he was like, you can't just photograph who you want. The media does it. You have FBI hanging out at certain events, and they photograph without questioning and disrupt family events. It's really important to sit there and photograph smart. I try to introduce myself to everybody. Now, the first event I've ever done for bikers, it was really hot. I was sweating, and I was so nervous. And I didn't know who to really approach at first. Typically now, there's a process to it. I just approach everyone, but normally I start at the front of the greeting area, just let them know who I am. Especially if I'm the only photographer there. To me, that's respect. I also approach the businesses, let them know I'm photographing, because that's also respect. A lot of those businesses are either biker owned or biker run. So it's really important, or they're a biker establishment that hosts a lot of bikers. It's just really important to get yourself out there and also be polite. Because if you're going to be polite, then you're going to deserve some respect back. If you're not going to be polite, you're going to have no respect. No one's going to want to have you photograph their events. I've also done like huge rallies. Like my first rally, I decided to go big or go home, and I went to Daytona, which was a blessing. I love Daytona. And Main Street hosted a whole lot of people, and when I was there was a club around. I couldn't greet myself to them. There were so many of them. People were walking in and out. It was hard to see everybody, you know what I mean? So at that point, when I photographed, I had a photo of this club, and I realized that I can't just post it, which I didn't. They know who I'm talking about. They probably, if they're listening in, they know who I'm speaking of. I sent it to them. I said, hey, if you want me to share it, let me know. If you don't, let's move on your day. It's for you, because it's just going to sit in my album. Please be respectful and do it as much as you can. Just be respectful when it comes to any type of patches. Be aware of what you're photographing, because it's a really case where you can get your camera smashed. Because a lot of people don't want, even just general riders in general. I know now with a whole much more riders happening. You have independent riders. I mean, I had a biker talk to me the other day and tell me that there's so many more riders on the road than there used to be. And it's also losing the codes, like the biker respect that has been established over generations. These individuals that just want to be motorcycle enthusiasts get on these two wheels but don't realize there's a history there. There's something we have to respect. And I think it's really important to sit there and respect that in general. You have individuals that are independent riders that also don't maybe want to be photographed. If you can, try to introduce yourself to as many bikers as possible when you do stuff. Try your best to hand out your business cards, even if it's quick, and let them know. I try to introduce myself like the day before. So if there is an event happening, I know most of the stuff, like, for example, the Macy's ride, which is an amazing ride for autism. They did a great job, number one, for raising funds for autism, supporting the autism cause, but also, having a great ride. Like, they had 300 plus bikers there. It was fabulous. It was a very good ride. I introduced myself to every biker. Now, with Daytona, I couldn't. Gettysburg, I waved to people. I stood in public areas, so like where somebody was standing that was part of the organization. So like I stood close to them, so that way people knew that I'm not just the FBI. Because people were, they're like, "Oh, you're FBI cop." No, I'm not. I'm just a photographer trying to capture. That's all I'm trying to do. And if I see your patches, typically I'll put my camera down because I'm not going to photograph you unless you give me a cool wave and stuff. Then you can. If you're way up there and you see me, you can wave at me and I'll keep my camera up. But typically I'm going to put it down because it is a lot of work to hunt you guys down and get a permission for us to post it. I want to capture those moments. So if you are at an event and I'm going to be at an event and you know that I'm going to be there, let me know. It's important. It's going to take a long time for We Are Bikers, Your Bikers Night to be established. But it's so important for us to be able to start small, but also start communicating about these hot topics when it comes to photography and bikers. Because it not always coexisted, and it wasn't always welcomed. There's some amazing biker photographers out there that have long gone, that deserve respect. And I will talk about some of them later. And I think it's really important to have that dialogue about how to document bikers. Because number one, their lifestyle does deserve their secrecy that they have carried on for years. But it also deserves to be documented in a safe way as well. So like if you have a big event, like I said, you can't introduce yourself to everybody, but you can still carry around your cameras. You can still be polite and say, and if you see somebody that's in a club, be like, "Hi, I am so-and-so. Just, I'm photographing. I'm not going to photograph you guys." Let it go. I'm going to say, if you want me to photograph, I will. But it's up to you. But if you get in my, frame, like say, for example, I had a situation once where I was photographing a bike show. And a club came walking through. And I could see them. They were kind of like on my peripheral vision. Because I look around, I observe where I'm going. And I knew that I was not in trouble at all. But I knew that they were looking at the bikes. So I politely put my cameras down and walked away. And I came back 10 minutes later and they were gone. So to me personally, you gotta know and observe your areas when you photograph. Just be conscious a little bit more when you photograph a biker event in any situation. And if you go to a small event or like an open house, email them, ask them. Typically when it comes to open houses, don't bring your cameras. Don't do it. Leave it at the door. But when it comes to like a rally, something like that, bring your cameras. Maybe you can get some awesome shots during the day and stuff. I try to put my cameras away at nighttime. A lot of times, you guys, I'm in bed by like 10 p.m. Doesn't mean I'm sleeping. I could be, I normally work late, but I'm still like in my home and stuff. I'm not a night owl. I used to be a big partier in my early 20s. I can't, I'm 34 and I'm sorry, you guys. I like my activities during the day. But I know there's some amazing stuff that happens at night. Night photography is great. Just be a little bit more aware when you photograph bikers at nighttime. Because, again, you can get yourself in a very dangerous circumstance. In a situation as well that I would want any photographer or biker to get into. Because you could be hurting that biker by photographing them as well. So please just be a little bit more aware of what you're documenting. If any photographers have questions, come to me, talk to me. That's what we're here for. I'm here to build a good organization, not just for the bikers themselves, but also the businesses of the bikers that support the biker industry. So like photographers that photograph bikers. I'm here to help. And also humble us, and also sit there and maybe help you guys a little bit more, have you guys meet each other. Because it's important, if I've photographed an event, I've met some amazing biker photographers that have photographed major magazines. It's been such an honor. I've met a few professors that are professors at different universities that they also photograph different areas, and they photograph the biker community and hang out with the biker community. Like, I think it's really important for us to sit there and dialogue about being a photographer. Well, my 15 minutes is up. Thank you guys for being here tonight. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk soon.